and welcome to Grandad's Reviews. Now, had a bit of a change around. Thought I'd redo the studio, so got things a bit in different positions, and we'll just see how we get on. So in this video, I'm going to have a look at powering the Fuji camera. Specifically, I'll be looking at the X-T3, the X-T30 that I'm actually filming on, and the XS10, which I've got here all rigged out for a commercial shoot I've got coming up, but we'll be using that as well. So we'll go over, I'm going to have a look at different ways of powering these cameras, from the basic to the more complicated, and what you should look out for on different ways of powering them. So let's go over and have a look. Right, so we're going to have a look at how to power your Fuji X-Camera. And I'm going to use the X-T3 as our test subject. And the easiest way to power it is what comes with it, the battery. You'll get a single battery with the camera. Now there are quite a few third-party batteries out there that you can get, and your mileage will vary. Some people who use third-party batteries find that they're excellent and they don't get any problems whatsoever, and other people find that they do get issues. Either they don't last as long or they swell and get stuck. So entirely up to you. Personally, if I've spent a lot of money on a camera, then I know these are quite expensive, but worth it. So I've got another two of the 126Ss, which is the one you need for the X-T3 and XS10 and the X-T30 to get the full potential. And obviously the X-T4 uses a different battery, but I would say in the same circumstance, stick with your genuine batteries. I do. Now, we've got some options on charging these. If you've had an X-T3 or an X-T30, you'll find it comes with a plug-in charger. Different connectors for different countries, and yeah, excellent. But if you're away from mains power and you can't plug it in, another option is a USB charger. Now this is a 2-slot charger. Just plug it in, plug that into either a power bank, or you can plug it into the mains with a phone charger or something like that. Put it in your car even, with a USB connector in your car. Then you can charge up to 2 batteries up with that as well. The other simpler way is just to charge it in camera. So with your USB-C connection, just with a USB-C cable, just charge it up. Works a treat. Now how long the batteries last? Well, it doesn't. The figures that the manufacturer gives are just a guide. Depending on what lens you've got on, if you're using AFC, if you're chimping at the back screen all the time, then you'll get less than what the manufacturer says. But if you're using continuous high frame rate shooting on the X-T3 or any others, you'll probably get more than what the battery says. Video eats through the batteries really quickly as well, so that's what I say, have a few spares with you if you're going to use video. So that's the basic way of doing it. Let's move on from batteries. The next thing that some people look into doing is running the camera from a battery bank. Now, not all battery banks are made equal. This is your standard USB power bank, which you can plug in. Standard USB, plugs into there. Plugs into the camera, and the green light, as you can see, it's charging, and it's charging. If you go onto the Fuji website and look at power banks to use, they'll recommend what's called a PD, or power delivery power bank. And the one they recommend is the Anker one, which is a PD one. And on the top you've got same USBs as this one, which will charge the camera, but a USB PD which will actually run the camera, not just charge it. Same thing happens when you plug it in. Little green light will come on, as shown there. It's showing it's charging. So when the camera is switched off, it is charging. When you turn the camera back on, you get a symbol, I'll get the light right, just there, showing that you've got external power applied. That's the same symbol when it's charging as well. But because this is a PD bank, it delivers the power the camera requires. Now, Anker is what Fuji recommends, but you can use any other PD one. So if we get that one out, I personally use this one by Romos. It shows you it's got 100% on a little screen. Now let me see if I can show you what I mean by PD. So we plug that in, the camera's switched off. This is supplying 5.1 volts and 1.4 amps because it's charging the battery. That's what the battery needs to charge. If I switch on the camera, it's now displaying the little symbol saying it's got external power. And as you can see, the amp draw has gone down to 0.9. So it's not charging the battery anymore, it's running the camera. If I use the autofocus, you can see it starts to draw more. I turn it over to video, see it's starting to draw more. Still 5.1 volts, but it's now drawing 1.1. If I put it on to record, so this, the PD is supplying the power that the camera needs to run, whereas if it's just charging, it'll go down or up depending on what the battery needs. Obviously the battery needs a bit of charge, so it's taking 1.4 amps to charge it up at 5.1 volts. So as I say again, a PD is supplying what the camera needs to run, and so your battery's not being used. So I'm in video there. Just put it on to record. You can see it's drawing more amps. I stop it recording, it goes down. Even though this PD bank has these slots, it's got to be the USB-C to get the PD effect. So if we put it into the normal one, camera is switched on, it's got the symbol saying it's got external power, but it's only supplying 0.4 of an amp. Turn it off, when it settles it's still supplying 0.4 to charge the battery. All that will do is charge a battery. That won't supply any extra power to run the camera. You've got to use the PD version, USB-C PD there. So yes, you can use a normal power bank to charge, but if you have the camera running with just a normal power bank, it'll use the battery. It might use it slightly slower because this is giving it some power, but it's not giving enough to run the camera, only to charge it. You need a USB PD power supply so it can actually alter the amount of amperage that the camera requires to run. So that's power banks. Your next step up from power banks is VMount. Now I've started using these fxlion Nano 1 VMount batteries because on the top it's got USB-C and it's a PD power. I've also got the D tap as well. So if I plug this in, it's using the USB-C and it's PD, so it will supply the amps that it needs to run. So I can run that camera off this, and I then can run other things off it. So off the D tap I can run a monitor or follow focus or something like that while that's running the camera. Also, the next thing we can do, and we can do this with a power bank as well, we can run the Fuji camera off a dummy battery. I've got this dummy battery here. Take the normal battery out. Eventually pull out this little tab here, which allows us to put the cable out through the bottom. Now we've got a couple of ways of doing this. We can use one of these little adapters which changes the voltage to what the camera needs. We just plug that into there, then we can plug this into there, and we can fire up the camera. And now we've got no battery display, but we've got external power display. So we're running it off power bank but through a dummy battery. We can also, if we're running one of these D-tap batteries, we get another voltage reducer. We plug our D-tap in. Always make sure you got the right voltage connectors connected up. Can plug that in and switch on our camera. Again, we've got it showing external power, and on our display we've got that we're sticking out. We've got 14, I think it's 14.5 volts coming out of the D-tap, and that's reducing it to the voltage it needs for the camera. So now we can run the camera off that D-tap. We could run other USB items off as well. So we have endless possibilities on powering the camera with the D-tap. You also can get obviously different things to fit on there. So one I've got is this MPF battery adapter. Clicks on there. We've got another D-tap here. Which again we can run the camera from. But we've also now got a D-tap there. This will also could be on a light. If you've got a light, like one of these Viltroxes, that'll fit on the back of the light. And we've got light and the camera running all at the same time. So for running your camera for a longer time, or if you're doing a lot of video, I think these VMount is most convenient. It's as small as my smallest power bank. This is 10,000 milliamp, 36 watt hour. PD side of it, we can put out 5 volts 3 amps, 9 volts 2 amps, or 12 volts 1.5 amp on that one. There's this little one here. It's a 50 watt hour, 8 amp max. USB output can go up to 20 volts 2.2 amps, so it's got a bigger capacity, but it's actually lighter. So in conclusion, the simplest way to run your camera, the normal batteries. Get yourself a USB charger for it. While you're out and about, charge that battery up in the camera with a power bank. If you want longer run times, like when I'm sitting in a hide, the fox hide shooter just did with the when I'm comparing the two 100 to 400 lenses, I just had this plugged into the camera and that lasted all day and not a single bar went down on the camera, so I got full use of that. If you're going to use it more professionally and you want long run times with video, then I'd go VMount. Run it with a dummy battery if you want, or if you want that D-tap to run at a monitor like I do on the XS10, which is filming now, I'd put the USB-C into the camera and run it with that, D-tap to the monitor, and I'm away. So there's the powering options I've found and that I use. My usual setup is the VMount for doing video, my little PD power bank for when I'm out in a hide. I'm just walking around, going out doing street photography or just out with the family. I've just got 3 batteries in my pocket and they'll last me all day. And that's my setup. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and give it a like, and that'll help promote my channel. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscription button. Until next time, see you later.